Welcome back. Tonight, our series on American oligarchs wraps up with one unlike all of the others that we've discussed this week. Unlike Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, whose stories we brought you earlier this week, Larry Ellison's name might ring a bell, but it might not. A lot of people don't know who he is. The software company Ellison co-founded and which made him a multi-billionaire is better known as Oracle. But even Oracle doesn't have the name recognition of many of its customers. Those include Netflix, eBay, and LinkedIn. But so what? Who needs fame when you can have power, oligarch-type power, and in Ellison's case, notoriety, the kind that comes from cheating in the America's Cup yacht race and suing your neighbors because their redwoods block your view, and maxing out your billion-dollar credit limit and flying a plane under the Golden Gate Bridge, which Ellison denies, but not very convincingly. Joining me now to separate fact from fiction regarding Larry Ellison is Mary Jacobs, a reporter for the New York Post, David Friedman, one of the world's leading experts on the ultra-affluent and author of Build Your Wealth, Quotient, and Luke Winslow, an assistant professor of communication at Baylor University and the author of American Catastrophe, Fundamentalism, Climate Change, Gun Rights, and the Rhetoric of Donald J. Trump. Okay, Mary, I want to start with you. How does a twice dropout valued at almost $97 billion stay out of the spotlight? I was telling people today that we were doing this segment. Most of the people I told didn't even know who this guy was.
Well, by intentionally staying out of the spotlight, he's not Elon Musk. He's not on Twitter. I think he only has one tweet from 2012. You know, he's trying to intentionally be non-controversial, and intentionally so. He wants to stay off the radar. Like you said and pointed to earlier, Oracle is not known among average Americans. It's not as flashy as Amazon or Tesla or SpaceX. I mean, it's a software company. It's the third largest software company in the world, but not a lot of Americans are aware of that. And he wants to keep it that way.
Yeah, it seems like he's doing a good job just based on my little survey today. David, it was interesting that he actually worked for the CIA at one point, building databases. Now it's the third largest software company in the world, as you just heard Mary say. How did he go from building databases at the CIA now to #3 software company in the world?
Yeah, you know, it was true that his first client was the CIA, but the origin of Oracle came from a research paper that he found at IBM. So he took the risk, he found that, and he built a relational data, the biggest and the premier relational database. It was kind of the beginning of that whole movement, and he grew Oracle. I mean, the thing to understand about billionaires is that, and philosophically, wealth is an amplifier. So it takes whatever you are, whoever you are, and it blows it out, whether you're philanthropy, whatever characteristics you have. And so in his life, everything he's done is an expression of his desire and drive to win and to compete, right? But I think it's important for we all understand, as we're talking about this and saying he's trying to stay under the radar and whatnot, I think part of the reason is just structurally Oracle is a B2B company. I mean, it serves businesses, not consumers, right?
Right.
But I think, you know, I think he just cares about winning. I don't know if he cares about whether people know it or not. He just cares about that drive to win.
He doesn't care about the notoriety the way the other ones do. I mean, we've been doing this story on the American oligarchs all week. You know, Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, these people who get all of this attention. The fact that Larry Ellison doesn't have the attention, that he stays under the radar. Luke, do you think that actually makes him more dangerous in a way?
Well, I think in my experience in the classroom, I would affirm your kind of informal findings. When I talk about Larry Ellison in class, most of my students at Baylor University have not heard of them, at least compared to, you know, Elon Musk or Bill Gates or, of course, someone like Donald Trump. I don't know in his case if his personal brand and how well known he is relevant to whether he's dangerous or not. Oligarchy is about bridging economic and political power. And I think what oligarchs are primarily concerned with is if the processes by which they bridge economic and political power are well known. That's the most important thing for maximizing their wealth.
And in our conversation last night, we were talking about Zuckerberg. One of the experts said with these oligarchs, there's us and then there's them. And in Hawaii, Zuckerberg was fighting because he wanted this massive plot of land to build this house, and he didn't care what the locals thought. And it was interesting. The same thing is apparently going on with Larry Ellison, Mary. He owns 98% of Lanai Island in Hawaii, and the locals aren't happy about it. I mean, what is it about Hawaii, first of all, with these oligarchs, and what's going on with Ellison there?
Well, Ellison, much like Malibu, invested kind of early in Hawaii over a decade ago. And it really depends who you ask, because sure, there are some locals right now who would say that, you know, they're concerned with what he's doing. But I've actually spoken to many locals who tell me that what he's actually done in Lanai since is transformed the entire island. So tourist has been booming, which was non-existent over like a decade ago. He's building hotels. He revived the pineapple plantation, which is now bringing agricultural jobs and kind of literally flourishing the economy in that island, which a lot of the buildings and a lot of the property had been in decay and deteriorating. A lot of people don't know that. But another thing to note as well is it's a small population of 3,500 people. And so the property there is actually, comparative to other Hawaiian islands, is actually more affordable. I wouldn't say it's exactly affordable. It still runs about $700,000 on average, but more people are concerned with people like the city of Honolulu or Maui, where Jeff Bezos is investing significantly. You have Mark Zuckerberg and stuff like that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so there's sort of a positive side maybe to what he's doing in Hawaii. David, I went over the controversies involving Ellison. I just want to tell you again, his large feud with his once protege, Mark Benoff, to maxing out his $1 billion credit limit, hiring private investigators to dig through Microsoft's trash, having his America's Cup team caught cheating, and suing his neighbors because their redwood trees were obscuring his view of the San Francisco Bay. I mean, it just seems like none of this stuff is caught up with him. We don't even... You know, regular Americans don't even know who he is. How has he gotten away with all this?
Yeah, you know, when you don't have, here's part of the thing. When you get to the point where you don't have some outside voice talking to you or giving you perspective, and you drink your own Kool-Aid, then it's all about doing what you want, right? And so again, though, everything you just said is about winning. Right, it's the core aspect of who he is. In many ways, and my colleague from Baylor would maybe agree, but there, you know, it's almost like what Nietzsche called the Übermensch. The Übermensch was the Superman that was above good and evil. He could transcend. He could, you know, and there's a famous saying, obviously, about the difference between God and Larry Ellison is that God knows or Larry Ellison knows he's not God, or what, I don't remember what it was, but the idea. So, but every one of those things is an expression of his drive to win, whether it's with his neighbor or with, it doesn't matter. It's the core of who he is, and it's going to express itself that way.
Fascinating. Yeah, they're so intense and aggressive, these guys. Mary, David, and Luke, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your time tonight. I hope you have a good holiday weekend.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.